Hi, friends. So, today I want to repair and finish two quilts. The first quilt was made by my great Aunt Lula, who was my grandmother's aunt. So, this quilt has been in the family for many years and it has gotten a little bit of wear and tear. The appliques have started to lift in various places. So, what I have done over the course of the fall is put the quilt on this quilting embroidery hoop and slowly but surely, with very clumsy stitches, sewed each applique back down that was lifting. My stitches are terrible compared to my great Aunt Lula's. Hers were so precise and so pretty. Mine are sloppy and clumsy and not well done at all, but I do think it will help the quilt to stay in one piece much longer. Next up is the quilt that I showed in one of my thrift hauls that I bought off Facebook Marketplace for $35. Now, the reason it was so affordable is because it has not been quilted down. It's just the quilt top, and it has been battened and pinned together and sewn together, but it has not been quilted down. So, what I want to do today is do the most simple possible quilt I can on this. And I went back and forth measuring and decided on a square cross hatch pattern as far as that being the most simple thing that I could figure out to do. I am not by any means an experienced quilter. I did not grow up in a home where we even had a sewing machine. Everything that I do is with the sewing machine is self-taught, and so I try to do things just as simply as possible. I ended up having to spread this out on the floor so I could take a few measurements. I'm just trying to decide how big of the squares I want them to be, to just make this as efficiently as possible. But I do want the quilt to hold together for many years for my family. We use quilts daily. I wash them often, and we actually end up wearing quilts out. The family quilts I may only put on the bed a few times a year for special occasions, but a quilt like this that was made by someone else, it will become a daily use quilt and get washed many, many times until it's worn out. So I'm not going to worry about perfection when it comes to a quilt like this. I do want it to hold up though and last. Uh, in the end, I've only got $40 invested in this quilt. The quilt and then the quilting thread on top of it. So it's not that big of a deal. I think I ended up on 6 by 6 squares. I wanted 5 by 5, but the quilt itself is not square. So 6 by 6 squares it is, and even those did not come out perfect, as you'll see in the end. But I think this has ended up being a fun project and one that's going to be quite useful for years to come. I have just refilled the bobbin again. I get about 3 rows done before the bobbin's empty. I've broken 2 needles and broken the thread I don't know how many times while adjusting tension. I've gotten 3 rows done, so this might take a while. All right, I am 1, 2, 3 in. 1, 2, 3, 4 in, actually. And it's working. I'm just freehanding this, basically. So I hands width and slowly push it through the machine. Hands width, slowly push it through the machine. And they're not completely straight, I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, it doesn't look too bad. And then I'll cross hatch it to make squares. And I think it'll hold this together just fine. And of course on the other side, it's red and white. You can't see the stitches. So I don't think perfection is required for this project. Yeah, this is gonna work. It's a lot of work, but it's gonna work. Okay, let me get going again. So this is definitely where it gets tricky when it bunches up, because I'm more in the middle of the quilt now. I worked on either side first, and now I've just got the middle left to go. And so it's so thick on either side, it's hard to get it through the machine, just the bulk of it. So this is by far the trickiest part. This has taken, with a few extended breaks to run errands and have lunch, this has taken a few hours to do. Okay, here's where I'm at. The middle rows are wider, the 2 middle, than the outside. It's just too bulky to get through the machine on the last 2 without it being a struggle. So they're just gonna have to be wider, the squares. And I think that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is start trimming loose threads, or, you know, the threads. And then I need to take out all the safety pins that kept it square. And then I'm gonna throw it in the wash, so.